The energy you build it in is the energy required to maintain it. So, and you obviously experience this. If you build a stressful business, the only way it stays alive is stress. So until you build a business that is fun and exciting and expansive and interesting and passionate and challenging, right? That's what you want to maintain it in, right? I think that's where burnout comes from.
Hello there, Pursuing Freedom friends. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Erin Bradley, and I am thrilled today to finally have Ryann Gillen on the show. It's so wild because if you've been listening and you heard the podcast that came out recently with Roberta Ravella, you may have heard the story of how we've known each other for 10 years and then we lost touch and then we reconnected and we were like totally aligned. And it was super fun having her on the show. And I was on her show and she's like, you need to meet my friend Ryann Gillen. And before we started recording today, before I even could get the technology to work, I was having some technical difficulties. And I'm like, well, I have to let Ryann know I'm running late. This isn't working. And I find her number and I go to text her and I like manually plug in the number and it pulls up a text from her in February of 2023. So we were apparently connected sometime around the holidays of 2022, which is feels like another era of both of our lives. But it's just so funny, the synchronicities of knowing that our paths were meant to cross and now they're finally crossing today. And we started having too much fun before recording. So I was like, okay, we got to save this for the show. So I think you're going to have fun here. And for those of you who have been listening to the podcast for a while, you're going to understand why I wanted Ryann to come on the show. She's the creator of Business Therapy and host of Business Therapy Live. And her whole process is about moving beyond traditional business strategy. She helps high achievers stop living under pressure and start creating from alignment by expanding emotional capacity and redefining achievement, which I love. And she empowers others to build lives that they're genuinely obsessed with. I'm like, oh, hello, you speak my language. You need to be on the Pursuing Freedom podcast. And if it's your first time here, welcome aboard. The Pursuing Freedom podcast is all about not settling, not stressed when you're broke, not stressed when you're busy, but the willingness to have the audacity to make decisions inside your business so that your business can continue to evolve alongside your life and that your business can fuel your life and not rob you of your life. So if any of that lands for you, you're in the right room. So with no further ado, Ryann, thanks for being here. I'm so excited to finally connect with you.
You too. And I told Erin, I said, when Roberta connected us via email, I had the thought, I was like, I know that name. And I went and I found her on Instagram and I'm like, we're connected. But you know how social media is these days. Like I'm connected to a lot of people. And it was just so interesting. But I'm just giggling at that. I'm like, I knew it when I got the email. I just couldn't place you. So I'm delighted to be here. Hi.
Yeah, so everyone is here tuning in to the magic that was meant to unfold. So, welcome to this divine synchronicity that's about to happen here today. We're all in this together. So, Ryann, we always start from the beginning because I'm curious, how did you get to where you are today? Passionate about what you're doing and how you're impacting the world. What's the backstory? Bring us back a little bit.
Yeah, so I started with a 15-year corporate career. I started selling radio advertising when I was 21 years old in Orlando, Florida. I worked in advertising and marketing, eventually making it into training and development, building and training sales organizations. I fell in love with startups. I had this incredible career. I had finally gotten married and had a kid and built a house and was sitting in my pretty corner office with all of the furniture that I had just purchased for my brand new dream job and was like, I don't think I really like this very much.
Oh my God.
I think that this sucks. No, actually, the very direct question was like, this can't be it. Like this can't be it. This can't be all that God put me on this earth to do is to chase money in an advertising agency, right? Like it was just bananas. And so I thought, Erin, I was looking for a different industry. I had been selling or been in sales and marketing in some capacity for 15 years, right? I was like, I just need to go sell something else. And I discovered entrepreneurship by way of the what's sort of looking for expert market, right? Like I came in 2020, I guess it was 2018, 2019, when Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels was just getting started. And all of those different things is when I came into the market. And I was like, holy bananas, people will pay me for the things that I know other than an employer. Like it just never occurred to me. I worked in B2C marketing, right? Somebody be like, oh no, there are 10 different businesses that would pay you a decent amount for that information when I was teaching sales organizations. So I got into sales training and development. So I started a business teaching sales to new entrepreneurs, built a sales training company with a business partner. and did the exact same thing that I did in my corporate career. Well, I took my business, gosh, I've left corporate in 2019. With Georgia Grace, I was pregnant with Georgia. So her maternity leave was my runway. So I left corporate America. And I never thought that was going to happen, if I'm honest, Erin. Right? I was making $150,000 a year plus bonuses, right? And that was a lot of money in the world that I was in at the time. I was definitely a top earner. The only way I saw was more money, was more responsibility. So I got into, entrepreneur land, and I literally took my business from $119,000 to $530,000 to $1.2 million in 3 years. And everything in my life fell apart. Everything in my life fell apart. I was in the exact same situation as I was in 2017, but now it's 2021, 2022 at this point. And I went in just the most wild journey of discovering, like, okay, the common denominator here is me, right? Like, I keep doing all the things that I say I want to do and hitting the goals, and then torpedoing my life in some way, shape, or form. And so it led me on a personal development journey of, like, who am I and what do I want and why do I keep doing this, and what do I want out of life? And I led into my work with Stacey Fuss, which, come to find out, connected us in 2022, in really learning our personal power. And I never intended to make it my work. Like, I did it because I just wanted to be happy, Erin. Like, I just wanted to be happy. I wanted to provide a good living for my family. I never thought that this would be my work, but the more I did this work, I realized it was the missing piece from everything that I had ever done, right? I'd been training sales teams for 20 years. And it was like, I could never answer the question, what's the difference between the person who knocks it out of the park and wins every single month, regardless of what's going on in the industry, and the people who just never get their shit together, right? Oh, I should have asked before. The people who just never get their stuff together. But the people who just never get it, right? Like, we're training the same people, we're giving them the same things. Like, why are they not? And it was this, right? It was the energetics, it was identity, it was beliefs, it was confidence. I mean, so many different things. And so, like I said, this work was not meant to be my body of work. I did not set out in that way. But the more I learned it, it was like the missing puzzle piece in every problem I've ever had in my life. And here we are.
I love it. And now I know why everybody wanted to connect us. No, it's
Do you
funny
have a very similar
because,
story, Erin?
well, it's just funny because, coming up in the mortgage side of the real estate space and
Mhm.
hitting rock bottom and then
Yeah.
begging anyone and everyone to teach me how to save myself from this
Right.
financial ruin, I
Yeah.
set about like becoming this high achiever and this top
Uh,
producer and reaching that level of external achievement without any inner fulfillment. And
Amen.
then, I too started teaching everybody what I was learning, and I
Right.
found joy in the teaching. But it's so funny. We're really living parallel lives because
Yeah.
back then, everything I taught was set your
Hmm.
goal, achieve your goal, set your goal, achieve your goal, strategy, systems, all the things. And
Yep.
as my own identity started to unravel under the
Hmm.
weight of everything I was building outside of myself, I too had to go on this journey. But I just want to kind of back it up and say, for the listener who's stuck where you were in 2018, where things are going pretty well, and they're
Yeah.
like, is this it? What did the process of discovering yourself and doing this work look like for you? Like, how does someone even begin the journey of believing that there could be another reality where they can have external success and inner fulfillment?
Ooh, I love that question so much. And the thing that I will tell to that very specific question is, it's a choice, right? So, how I began the journey, like, I took the long way around. I like to learn things the hard way. That is my journey. So I'm giving you the shortcut. It's a choice, right? The story you tell about every single thing happening in your life is a choice. So if you are feeling stuck, sometimes have to say out loud, I'm choosing to be stuck,
Mhm.
right? I'm choosing this. I'm choosing to continue to go to a job I hate. I'm choosing to continue to work with clients I don't like. I'm choosing to let these negative thoughts take me for a ride every day. And it is the most uncomfortable part of the process, right? It is just admitting, like, I'm choosing this. So that's where it started. Like, this is a choice. Life is not happening to me. This is a choice. And I say start there because until you can own that, nothing can change, right? I think a lot of people want personal development, right? They want to say, my life is amazing and incredible and all of those different things, but they want to own the good and they don't want to own the bad, right? They don't want to own that it's all a choice, right? It's like, I chose to create this, incredibly successful mortgage career, real estate career, entrepreneurial career, but, like, not the fact that, oh yeah, I chose to partner with that business partnership that fell apart, bro. Like, I chose to not take care of myself and gain 60 pounds, right? I chose to stop in, like, taking care of my marriage and only focused on the business and wound up divorced. Like, nobody wants to say those things, right? We want to be like, I created $1 million, not I also created all this other stuff too. And so that's where it starts. It's got to start with owning. It's a choice.
Yeah, it's funny. I have a slide on one of my presentations for a keynote that says, there are many realities being lived and you're choosing the one you're in.
Amen.
So what did the work look like? Like on a even coming down to like daily habits, what had to shift for your whole belief system to shift? Where does it start?
I'm so glad you asked this question too, Erin, because I've been asking myself this question for the last 6 months. Is just really asking myself, like, where did I start? Like, how do I make the intangible tangible, right? Like, I did change my life, but what did I do? And ultimately, it started in the conversation in my head, right? Like, I practically started walking every single day without headphones. It was the first thing I did. I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but what I was doing was regulating my nervous system and listening to the conversation in my head, right? Like those were the two things at the time. I was just going for a walk because I was overweight and stressed out and unhappy. But what the walk was providing, and I intentionally did it without headphones, right? Because I was constantly intaking and consuming information. And I just was like, I need a break, right? Like I need a break. I need to go be outside. I need to breathe. And that's where it started. And so what happened in retrospect, right? You can only connect the dots backwards, not forwards, right? Is in retrospect, it was I was regulating my nervous system, right? Just breathing and being in nature and all of that is huge for our nervous system, which is a great part of regulation. But then also like I started thinking on purpose. I started paying attention to my thoughts. What do I want? Why does this keep happening? Right? Like what's actually going on here? What's underneath this? Like I got started getting honest with myself. And it was a two-way dialogue in my head. And I think we dismiss the simplicity of that. Like I'm just supposed to talk to that voice in my head. Yes. Yes, that voice in your head, right? If you notice that there's a voice in your head and there's a you, right? You know that the voice in your head isn't you, right? So you can talk to it and you can ask it questions and it will answer you. So that was really how I started. So I developed this really cool kind of identity practice. It's a freebie that I offer to everyone, which is, I say it's like a 30-minute practice, right? Where we regulate our nervous system for 5 minutes a day. For 5 minutes a day, either journal or talk out loud things that are already good in your life. Like going through, like, I woke up this morning, like I have an incredible life. I do these things, right? So kind of a bit of a gratitude practice. And then 10 minutes of thinking on purpose from the woman you want to become, right? Like whether you're working towards a health goal or a relationship goal or a business goal, right? Like that person who has that thing, like thinking from that space. And so that's like the core of the practice. And then, so that's where I kind of started. But then at the end of the day, really doing some reflection. So I teach like some reflection and refinement because our brain really likes that, right? At the end of the day, how much time did I spend being the person I wanted to be versus living in reaction mode? It's kind of the point of the practice and then a refinement. So, but it really started with regulating my nervous system and actually intentionally having a conversation in my head about who I was and what I wanted and why I kept creating these disasters in my life.
So, did you have any specific teachers that you listened to via podcast or
Yeah.
YouTube or books that you've read that were any ones that kind of really were like, oh, snap, I can see the truth
Mm.
right now?
I've read them all. I'm an old school teacher kind of girl. I got caught in podcast land and like a lot of like current teachers of personal development, but I'm an old school like Bob Proctor, Abraham Hicks is a lot of what
Yeah.
Neil Donald Walsh, Conversations with God. Neil Donald Walsh, Conversations with God. I've probably read it a dozen times and it changes my life every time I read it. It's a trilogy, but like I've the first one I've read over and over and over again. It's one of my very favorites. Those are kind of the three that I spent the most time with was like Bob Proctor and Abraham Hicks and Neil Donald Walsh
Well,
is
that's
really
why I was wondering because I read The Miracle Morning in 2015 and started a
okay.
morning practice
Oh,
at a
cool.
time where I was really struggling with overwhelm and anxiety. And it totally changed my life. Within 2 weeks, I was feeling more energized, focused,
Yeah.
enthused, present. However, for many years, it was still a perfunctory checklist because I
Of
still
course.
felt like
Yeah.
I had to hurry up and do the meditation. I have to
Yep.
hurry up and
Totally
write
agree
my
with that. Yeah.
gratitude,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
And then in 2023, I had a series of unfortunate events in my life and tragedy and things like that. And I somehow discovered Abraham Hicks around that time. I
Yeah.
had read some
Yeah.
of her books, but then my morning routine, I always say to the people that I talk to is like, I do whatever it takes for as long as it takes.
Amen.
So if that's walking in nature, listening to
Yep.
Abraham Hicks, if it's reading for you, if it's writing, if it's
Yeah.
like you said, talking out loud, if it's thinking about your gratitude, like whatever it takes for as long as it takes.
Yeah.
Because the conversation you're having in your head, like talk us through what's come
Yeah.
through in
Okay.
the stillness, because I
Ooh.
love what happens in the silence.
I mean, everything's come through in the stillness, right? Like in the practice of sitting and listening or thinking on purpose or stretching your brain, right? Because in the beginning it's forced, right? Like I want to be clear, when you're thinking from somebody who runs let's say you want to run a multi-million dollar mortgage branch. I don't know. I don't even know if that's the appropriate guesstimate, but say you want a bigger mortgage branch that you currently have. The practice is I'm going to go out there and I'm like, if I was running the branch that I wanted to run, what would I be thinking? What would I be feeling? How would I be acting? Right? So I'd be thinking like, I love my clients. Like I am so friggin' lucky to have the most incredible clients who trust me. And I am grateful for the referral partners that I have who referred me these clients. And I'm so grateful to myself for doing the work and staying in the business and being, having a lot of integrity and doing the things that I really enjoy. Like it is a very intentional practice, but in the beginning it feels clunky. Like you can hear me, I feel clunky right now because I've never practiced this one before. But the more that you practice it, the more natural it becomes. And then all of a sudden, the words almost start breathing you. I think you know what I mean, right, Erin? Like
Yep.
all of a sudden, like you're not consciously thinking anymore. They're just coming out, right?
Yep.
Where all of a sudden you're just, blah, 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 this is who I am, and this is what I think, and this is what I do. So, like, I get the most incredible ideas for content, ideas for coaching programs, ideas for sometimes people's names will pop into my head, right? Like I just totally wind up in a flow the more that I practice it. So in the beginning, it does feel clunky, right? If you've never practiced these thoughts, if you've never sat around and intentionally thought about how great you are at your work and why people want to work with you and why you're amazing and smart and incredible, and you've never really flexed that muscle, it's very uncomfortable in the beginning. But the more you do it, the more natural it becomes. And so then what winds up coming through are the ideas, right? The podcast episodes, the series that you would create, I haven't thought about it that way. Or sometimes I'll get like ideas and downloads from clients where I'm like, ooh, that conversation that I had with Erin yesterday, I got it like, ooh, I got to text her and tell her this. So it all happens. And I am very active. Like I have undiagnosed ADHD, but I have a 7-year-old with diagnosed ADHD. And through her diagnosis, I'm pretty diagnosed. So in the silence is not just sit still for me. And I want to be clear because especially a lot of high achievers are like, we're just supposed to sit around and listen to ourselves. Sometimes you need to be an active participant. Like that makes your brain feel a little bit better. So you can actively get into flow the more you practice it.
Okay, so I like to refer to what you're talking about as inspired action versus
Yes.
striving, figuring
Yep.
it out, forced action, where like you think your fear-based analytical mind is actually going to solve a problem. Like the first part is realizing thinking you have a problem instead of looking at all your blessings. It's a whole thing, right? But
Yeah.
when you shift what you're focused on, what your attention is on, is where the energy goes, right?
Yeah.
And when you have this inspired action and it leads to plenty of action, right? It is not sitting around
Gosh.
cross-legged, a yoga mudra of some sort, like
Right.
fingers crossed, I'm going to become a millionaire. There's a lot of action, right? But it's a
There is.
different frequency.
Mhm.
And I'm curious if you've found where you get into that flow state and you receive this impulse and you act on it and it becomes this really cool unexpected outcome, and then you have the evidence that you just can't unknow this, right? It's
Yeah.
almost annoying, like it's
Yeah.
because our old program
Yeah.
really doesn't like the fact that this could be easier.
Of course.
So what does that look like when you're working with your business therapy clients and you're helping them shift from this old belief that if it's not hard and it doesn't feel heavy, it won't work? Like,
Yeah.
how could it possibly get easier and better in a flow state?
So to me, the way I teach inside business therapy, which is my flagship program, it's a mastermind. Like I teach kind of the creation process, right? Like understanding creation. Anybody who thinks that it is hard work and suffer and sacrifice and reps and all of those things doesn't fully understand what creates results. So that's kind of how I walk my clients through it. I will start with, what do you think is creating your results? And then some people will tell me, well, I work really hard. Well, like you work really hard at what? Like, well, I work really hard. Like a lot of people, we hide behind our hard work. And it's like, no, but really, what are you working on? Well, yeah, exactly. Like it's not the hard work creating your results. So it's really about understanding what creates our results. So to me, the way I teach this to my clients, Erin, is it's two things and two things only. It's your identity, who you believe yourself to be. Basically, do you believe you're the creator of your reality or do you believe you're the victim of your circumstances, right? Like that's kind of the first step. Because I think that's the piece that's missing for so many people out of just like mindset, right? Because the second piece I always say is energetics, your identity and your energy. And your identity is, do you believe that you're the one creating it or do you believe it's happening to you? Like to me, that's pretty cut and dry. And until you believe you're the one creating it, the second piece doesn't really matter, right? This is what I've been throwing a lot of shade. Like I giggle because back in like 2019, 2020, like I built an entire personality around like calling other people wrong. And I've really tried to break up with that. But sometimes the snark just comes out. And I, because I was teaching sales to new entrepreneurs and I was like, everything all of these a-holes are teaching you is completely wrong. And let me tell you why I'm right. Like it was my whole brand and people loved it. It was a mess. But anyway, in the manifestation world, I think that's what's missing in the energetic world, right? It's the identity piece. Like you can think all the positive thoughts that you want to think, but if you think that life is happening to you, you are dead in the water 100% of the time, right? Like you can think I'm amazing and I'm abundant and I'm incredible and this is easy and clients love me. But if you think you don't have any real control, like if you don't fully understand the role that you're playing, right, you'll get mediocre results. And so for me, we always start with identity. Who are you as the creator of your reality? And we take that to our identity practice. Walk around thinking about, right? If I were the creator of my reality, what would I think? I wouldn't think that guy's a jerk, right? Because that means I created him, right? Like I wouldn't think that business is hard because I realize that that's what I'm creating. Like it's a lot of unlearning more than anything else. It's much more, and I'm sure you see this with your clients and in the talks that you give, Erin, is it's a whole lot like of taking away, not a whole lot of adding in, right? It's a lot of removing stories and beliefs, most of which aren't yours. So that's where we really start is understanding what's creating your results. Do you believe you're the creator or you're the victim? And then what energy do you take to the work? If you take pressure and sacrifice and stress to the work, then that is what you will get back 100% of the time, right? If you take joy and passion and interest and impact and excitements and growth to the work, that's what you will get back, right? 100% of the time. And so that's really what we focus on, is understanding what's creating. Because that's why two people, this was like the ultimate question that started this whole quest is why can I train literally thousands of salespeople and not all of them win, Erin? Why not? Right? Because some of them
Yeah.
did the work thinking this sucks. I hate this. This is never going to work. It's so hard. Nobody likes me. Our product is too expensive. Nobody's in the market. The economy's shit. Nobody wants to hear from me. So you can do whatever you want. And in that energy, that's exactly what you're going to get back, right? Versus the people who could not follow the process at all. And just think
Yep.
people love me and they love my product and I'm so good at what I do and people love buying from me and I'm a magnet for clients and opportunities and they happen. That's really it. What energy are you taking to the work? And then the final piece of this piece that I will say is I say this probably a dozen times a day, it feels like sometimes, Erin, is the energy you build it in is the energy required to maintain it. So, and you obviously experience this. If you build a stressful business, the only way it stays alive is stress.
I love that.
So until you build a business that is fun and exciting and expansive and interesting and passionate and challenging, right? That's what you want to maintain it in, right? I think that's where burnout comes from. You built your business based on stress pressure. And so it needs pressure to perform. And you don't have any more
Yeah,
to give.
totally. I love that. And I also was laughing that the business is called, your organization is called Business Therapy because
Yeah.
it's funny because when clients of mine will put me on their calendar and they'll put like real estate therapy or
I love
like
that.
I've
Yeah.
worked with the
Yeah.
owners of a Pilates studio and it's like Pilates therapy or like the owner of
Yeah.
like an accounting firm and it's like
Mhm.
accounting therapy and I'm like it is therapy but you know what it's the thing that shifts you from the inside out because you're right
Amen.
there's enough gurus out there that are going to give you the action plan the
Yeah.
strategy what you're supposed to go do so you can finally feel free
Right.
and safe or you can start to reverse engineer from the inside out. And
Right.
all of a sudden, you do become available for way more than your brain could comprehend and way faster than we could ever imagine.
Yes.
So, talk us through like business therapy and business therapy live. What is that? Where
Yeah.
can they find you? Where can they tap into all the beauty that you're putting out in the world?
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, we just rebranded the podcast to Biz Therapy Live, actually, which is really fun. I started my career in radio. And so I was voicing radio commercials, in my early 20s. I had a blog in like 2010 and I was blogging. I was training for half marathons at the time. Like I wanted to write a book when I was 8. Like I have just been like wanting to share my thoughts. I was the editor of my high school newspaper. Like I was meant to create content, Erin. Like that's what I was designed to do. And so Biz Therapy Live is kind of a play on like the old school radio show, right? Like you don't remember like the
Yeah.
dial-in. So we do like an Ask Ryan segment on Thursday where like my podcast producer comes on and we do like just kind of a short, like very quick under 15 minutes, like Q&A super fast. And then every Monday I do like a longer form, more teaching style. But again, really thinking through this concept of of just, the old school radio show kind of dialogue. So that's super fun. That's the podcast. I love the podcast. It's on all the platforms. I always say that it's my form of art is the podcast. It's the way that I express myself. Like I said, I've been trying to express myself with my words for a very long time. And then God allowed me to do this for a living, which is so fun. And then business therapy is mastermind. Like I said, I work very specifically with high achievers, people who are winning on paper and internally unhappy, right? And we really work on our relationship with, if I had to if it's in a sentence, I chew on this all the time, right? Like if I could explain business therapy in one sentence, it's repairing our relationship with money and work. Because
Awesome.
most of us have
I
really
love it.
twisted relationships with work, right? Our worthiness, our deservingness, our hard working, we've got to earn it. Did I suffer and sacrifice enough for it? And then we've been chasing money our whole lives in just this really effed up way. So that's kind of what we fix in business therapy, because my belief system is that we do get to have it all. You can make as much money as you desire to make and do it in a way that feels really aligned and be as present in your life outside of work as you desire when you play the energy game, which is kind of my iteration of universal law.
Yeah, I love it. I love it all. And I mean, it's so obvious why people felt we needed
Yeah.
to know each other. We're cut from the same cloth, girl.
Amen.
Okay, so how can everyone get in touch with you? What's the best place to connect with you or,
Yeah.
follow you, all the things?
Yeah. So the podcast is always the best place to start. Social media, I'm at Ryann Gillen Official. It's Ryan with two N's in all the places. And all of those places will have the links for all the things we're working on. The podcast, the identity practice free resource will also be up there. And then any of the programs I'm working on, current state, it's business therapy, but I run a couple of programs throughout the course of the year. So they're all up there.
Awesome. And can we drop the link to your freebie in the show notes?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay,
It'll be
cool.
livelifeuncensored.com/, what did I literally just did this yesterday, Erin. I just keep putting pressure on myself to get it done on time. And I want to say it's identity practice. It is. I can see it in my mind's eye. I'm like, where is it? It's right here. livelifeuncensored.com/private practice. Or I'm sorry, identity practice is where we'll find that. And I'll give you that link too.
I love it. We'll drop it in the show notes for everyone to find. And, I always say the same thing. If you found value in this conversation, share it with somebody that needs to hear this as well, because we're all on this journey of unbecoming and dismantling the outdated program that's keeping us stuck on the hamster wheel. And I know
Yeah.
everybody's craving the same thing, right? We want to have it all and we want to have it without the suffering. So let's have
Yeah.
some fun along the way, right? And
Amen.
if you haven't yet stopped and left a 5-star review wherever you're consuming this, I would greatly appreciate it, because it really does help us continue to attract amazing guests like Ryan, help this content get found so more of you can build a life you don't need a vacation from. As always, I love you. I appreciate you. We'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in to Pursuing Freedom. If this conversation sparks something with you, be sure you're subscribed so you can keep building momentum towards your life of freedom. And don't keep this to yourself. If you know someone who's on the same journey, be sure to share it with them. And I'll see you next time.